Power of the Doctor is about a week away, and I've made a few videos over the past couple of months about the episode. In this video, I'm going to compile all the information I previously talked about, as well as some new information included in the new trailer at the end of this video. In the first video I made about the power of the Doctor, the only thing we'd seen at that point was the Next Time trailer, along with a few promo images, which were shown at the end of Legend of the Sea Devils. So far, the only official marketing for the Centenary we've got is a few stills, including Kate Stewart, Ace and Tegan, Yaz, the Master, Ashad, the Daleks, the Doctor in an orange spacesuit, and Dan in that very same spacesuit. And besides that, the only other official marketing we've got is the Next Time trailer that appeared at the end of Legend of the Sea Devils. If you want to hear about those in more detail, you can watch the whole video I made about that over here. But in that video, I also discussed how this is going to be the composer Sagan Akinola's last episode. I first just want to quickly mention that we also know that this is Sagan Akinola's last episode on Doctor Who. And for those of you who don't know, he is the composer who took over after Murray Gold. But he has confirmed on social media that this will be his last episode of Doctor Who. As well as Russell T Davies confirming on The One Show that this episode is going to be 90 minutes long. At both the BAFTAs and when he appeared on The One Show, Russell T Davies mentioned that the episode is 90 minutes long.
It's a 90-minute epic, it's fantastic.
And it's going to be released in October.
Because what is coming up in October this year?
Now, the second and last video I made about the power of the Doctor was about the information we got from Doctor Who magazine, including the official title, The Power of the Doctor, being revealed, which I speculated on as to what that could mean in that video. So the first theory I have as to what the title of this episode could mean links to a possible leak that suggests that a plot point in this episode might focus on a companion support group that's been set up to support previous companions that the Doctor have travelled with. The title, The Power of the Doctor, could relate to the power the Doctor has over these companions, and this particular plot point of the episode could focus on how the Doctor affects their companions, how the companions' lives have changed after being with the Doctor, and the Doctor having to come to terms with the negative impact they can have on ordinary people that become their companions, which I personally think would be a really great plot point and a really good focus of this episode. But I do have some other theories as to why the title could be The Power of the Doctor. The next theory I have for this is that this title could be hinting to the power of regeneration that the Doctor has, as this is of course a regeneration story. Although if that's all this title could be hinting to, I do think that really does reinforce how vague and generic of a title this could be, as we've known the Doctor has had the power to regenerate for quite a while, and it's nothing new, and probably not the most important aspect of this episode, as we've seen it happen multiple times before. So the third theory I have as to what the power of the Doctor could be hinting at is some hidden power that the Doctor's original species may have, which may be revealed in this episode, or that opening the watch may unlock this ability for the Doctor. Now, this personally would be my least favourite option, as it would make the Doctor even more important than the Timeless Children already did, and I already have a few problems with that in the first place, as this would possibly permanently give the Doctor some powerful ability they previously didn't have, making them way more powerful than they already are, as they already have the ability to regenerate possibly infinitely at this point, as well as a few new images, mostly of the Master, but also of Ace and Tegan. Now, a few other details we have about the episode include the synopsis, which I'm going to get into more detail in when we get to the trailer, but we also know that obviously Chris Chibnall is writing this episode, as it's his last episode as showrunner, and we also know that Jamie Magnus Stone will be directing this episode, who directed a few episodes of Flux. With the release of the trailer and also the press screening, we now also know that the official release date and time of The Power of the Doctor is Sunday the 23rd of October at 7:30 PM. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we also now have the official trailer for The Power of the Doctor, as well as the new synopsis, which give us a few details about this episode. So I'm going to go through the synopsis line by line and discuss what some of the details from the synopsis show us, along with some shots from the trailer to back them up. The synopsis starts, "Who is attacking a speeding bullet train on the edges of a distant galaxy?" Now, this space bullet train can also be seen in quite a few shots from the trailer, and my theory is that this is going to be an adventure that the Doctor, Yaz and Dan go on at the start of the episode, similar to the opening adventure at the start of Flux in the Halloween Apocalypse. Now, I assume this scene is going to be some sort of rescue mission, rescuing passengers from an unstoppable bullet train, or maybe even a cyber attack on the bullet train, as we do see the Cybermen in this bullet train scene as well. Now, most of the promo images of Dan are of him in this orange spacesuit, which they are all wearing during this scene, and he's not really seen in any of the other promo images in Unit or in any other scenes in the trailer. And some other promo images and shots from the trailer also show Dan with a bullet hole in his helmet, which has led some people to believe that he might die quite early on, which I personally just don't see Chris Chibnall doing, but I really do want him to surprise me for this episode. However, we have also seen an image recently seemingly of Dan being dropped off by the Doctor at his house, which may suggest that he might choose to leave after having this near-death experience, which is more likely for Chibnall to do than killing him off, as we haven't had a real main companion death in his era besides Jericho in Flux, and he was barely a companion. The synopsis continues, "Why are seismologists going missing from 21st century Earth?" Now this line is also corroborated by Kate Stewart in the trailer.
A dozen of the world's leading seismologists have gone missing.
And I personally think this has something to do with the Daleks in this episode, as in the trailer we see the Daleks seemingly drilling, and some of the images we see with Ace and the Daleks seem to take place under a volcano, which we also see in the trailer. The synopsis then says, "Who is defacing some of history's most iconic paintings?" Now this is where we first see Ace in the trailer, and I'm thinking it's possible that this may be her reintroduction in this episode, and I think this plotline might have something to do with the Master, which I'm going to get into later on. The synopsis continues with, "Why is a Dalek trying to make contact with the Doctor?" which we see in the trailer with a hologram of Dalek in the TARDIS, warning the Doctor of a Dalek incursion that's about to occur on Earth. Now once again, I feel like this Dalek plot will have something to do with the earthquakes and volcanoes that we've seen earlier on in the trailer, and with the seismologists going missing on Earth. The synopsis finishes with, "And just what hold does the mesmeric Rasputin have over Tsar Nichols in 1916 Russia?" Now this confirms that the Master does have something to do with Rasputin and doesn't just happen to look a bit like him in some of those images that we've seen, which I speculated in a previous video. Now the pose and general look that the Master has in this image is very similar to that of Rasputin, and so I'm wondering if it's possible that the Master is disguising himself as Rasputin, or that Rasputin may have not actually ever existed and it was just the Master the whole time, similar to how the show Loki explains the origins of DB Cooper as just Loki. This could also be used to explain the alleged powers the real life Rasputin had and how he was so difficult to kill, because he may have just been the Master this whole time. Now continuing with the Master, we also see two TARDISes in this trailer, one of which seems to have replaced the text on the sign with laughter, which seems very reminiscent of something the Master would do, at least this incarnation. So I'm thinking it's possible that one of these TARDISes is the Master's TARDIS, and that could explain how he's messing with Russia in 1916, and may also explain why some paintings have been going missing and allegedly being defaced, as the Master may have his own TARDIS, allowing him to travel through time and do these things. Now we also get a better look at who Yaz was pointing a gun at in the previous trailer, as in this trailer it seems to be that she's pointing a gun at the Master, although this just could be the way the trailer is edited. Now other shots do suggest that maybe Yaz might shoot the Master in this episode, and this could be backed up by the confirmation that Sacha Dhawan will be leaving after this episode. Now we've also seen a number of images and shots of Yaz and the Doctor on this moon-like location, which I think might be this Death Star looking thing that we've seen throughout the trailer, as it looks very similar and Earth can be seen in the sky when they're on the surface of this planet, and at one point we see the weapon shooting at Earth in the trailer. Now I don't know if this weapon has something to do with the Master, the Cybermen, the Daleks, or maybe all three, but I am quite convinced that this is the planet that we see Yaz and the Doctor on throughout the trailer. Now there are a few characters we don't see in this trailer, one of those being Graham, who has been confirmed to be returning and has been seen on set filming. The fugitive Doctor is also not seen in this trailer and has also not been spotted on set, so we're unsure as to whether she's going to show up in this, which I think will be really unfortunate if she doesn't, because she is one of the best characters of the Chibnall era, and if she doesn't show up it does make the Timeless Child arc feel a little bit pointless, and that it may not be touched on very much in this final episode, leaving it incredibly open-ended and making it seem completely pointless in the first place. The final thing I want to talk about in this video is the regeneration. Jodie Whittaker recently did an interview with Empire magazine talking about her regeneration, which gives us a few interesting details. First of all, she describes it as a very emotional scene, which obviously is not very surprising, as all regenerations are, but she also describes that the scene was shot all in one take, which has me very excited because I think that is a very interesting way of shooting a regeneration, and I believe something we've not seen before. Now we also have reason to believe that the 13th Doctor is going to regenerate outside of the TARDIS, possibly on that moon-like planet we've seen before, and there is also the theory that the Doctor is either going to regenerate on a cliff top or after falling off a cliff, which we do see on this planet. The power of the Doctor was recently shown at a press screening, however it cut off before the regeneration scene was shown, which to me makes it seem a lot more likely that Jodie Whittaker is going to regenerate into David Tennant at the end of this episode, or even that maybe this is where we're going to get some cameos from classic Doctors. But either way, I think it's less likely now that we're going to see Ncuti at the end of this episode, and a lot more likely that Jodie Whittaker is going to regenerate into David Tennant. Now, as mentioned before, I've previously made a couple of videos about this episode already. If you want to see those videos, I'll have them linked here, and if for some reason you're watching this after the episode comes out, I'll have my review of the episode linked here. But if not, subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you know when I post that video about the power of the Doctor after it's released.